the Hoopstrology Podcast Season 2, brought to you by the Bayesian. My name is Jesus Acevedo Jr., and I'm joined by the person who makes this podcast work, as I always say, the Zodiac GM. Zodiac, what is going on, Zodiac?
And what is going on? How's it going? Crazy, crazy.
It's going good.
Crazy. Yes.
Can you,
season.
We've been watching basketball, like I was saying, maybe about 30 years of our life, give or take, you and I, right? You know, individually, together, 60 years, right? Can you remember a more crazier or more wild, more like kind of that where were you moment kind of trade deadline? I can't remember one.
The closest was the Tracy McGrady trade, to New York. Remember that one season like years ago where I think the Rockets were pretty much, getting exchange for Kenyon. I think, wasn't it Kenyon Moore? I can't remember what it was, a deal involving New York Knicks and Tracy McGrady going to New York. But that was the closest that I can remember. Aside from that,
I don't even know, because even that was just one. But just because I think because of how many of them, obviously Luka is the main one, but so many marquee players. Just to run down the list real quick. Obviously Luka, Anthony Davis, Jimmy Butler, Fox from the Kings. Zach LaVine, Andrew Wiggins. Those are marquee players. Chris Middleton, there's so many marquee players that have been.
Wow.
I don't want to say the faces, but they're being among the faces of the NBA, and they've just like changed drastically, all in one span of like a week.
You're right, but I love it. I mean, it's different. This could be actually good for the NBA too, which is another side of this. So.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I think I wonder if as many of these moves happen, because everything kicked off with the Luka, right? Luka being traded from Dallas to LA, and that's the where were you moment that I'm talking about. Because I mean, everybody's gonna remember now where they were where they heard Luka got traded to LA for AD. First of all, right, and then figure out that the rest of the deal that they didn't get enough, but just that, like a future, who many consider the future star of the NBA, right, or one of them, right, international star, and Luka Magic, right, and now the Lakers get another Magic man to run point. But where were you when you heard these news, Zodiac?
Actually, you told me about this.
I did, right?
Yes, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, once I saw your message and I checked, and the first thing I was anticipating was some silly random trade for Luka. Checked the account and it said 2.5 million at the time for Shams, and I'm like, okay, is it hacked? As everyone has said, right?
Everybody thought that. You were not the only one.
I just started seeing the view count tally up in the millions, and I'm like, wow, this is a shocker, So Luka Doncic, international superstar, getting traded for Anthony Davis, so just wow.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
When I saw it, I think Sham had tweeted it 1 minute before I saw it, and I was like, no. I was like, wait, this is like a fake Shams account. Of course, that's the first thing I thought. And then I saw it, I searched, and I saw it on ESPN, one of their tweet, and I was like, is this the real ESPN? I was still doubtful. I was like, I needed one more confirmation. And then I don't know, I think somebody else tweeted, I don't know whether somebody reported so, but yeah, it's that what? Like, and it's and I wonder if because of that happened, GMs were like, well, man, if Luka can get traded, why can't we trade our players that are disgruntled?
Everyone
not
just got
Luka
happy.
Was disgruntled, right? Exactly. Not that Luka was disgruntled, because he's not. That was we've all seen the video where he looks like he's still taking it in, no idea. Which we can make a whole episode discussing just that deal, all the conspiracy theories that have not come out about that deal, about how Luka ended there, about how the Magic didn't. I mean, how the Mavs didn't get enough back, and I definitely think they should have got more. I don't know. What do you think, Zodiac?
Oh, for sure, of course, a lot more for that. But I think they wanted Anthony Davis, and they got Anthony Davis. So, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And now we'll start with the Lakers side of it, right? Like, what does this Laker team now look like post NBA trade deadline? And listeners, if you haven't caught on, we're going to talk about as many of the big major NBA trades that happened over this past week. We'll try to get as many of them as we can in the next 45 minutes. But so now, how does this Laker team look, Zodiac, with Luka? And I know there's so many players' movement, right? So you gotta like go into the lab and rework your formula. I'm sure you still haven't completely updated, you know.
You're right.
I know that. So, but from the quick analysis, like, how do you see this Laker team matching up synergy wise? You know, and I know they just got Mark Williams from Charlotte Hornets, right? Mark Williams, is that his name?
Mark
Yeah.
Williams. Yes.
So just break down, how does this Laker team now look with Luka as their star, you know, and I think it's fair to say that LeBron takes a little bit of a step back, right? Just a bit.
It's tricky. Have you noticed Lakers have been doing pretty good lately, right? And
Right.
Anthony
Yeah.
Davis
We
had
talked
been
about it
out.
recently.
Anthony
Yeah.
Davis had been out prior to the trade for Doncic, right? So, and the odd thing about the Davis being out is that there's always a rotational shift somehow, right? Within any injuries, right? Especially a star player like Anthony Davis at the time. So the shift is actually in favor in their synergy as a whole, not necessarily for LeBron, I should say, but more for the role players opposite of LeBron. And I'm talking about, Anthony Reeves, Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Vanderbilt, Hayes even. And what that does is, for example, their starting lineup is that 4-to-1 ratio where they have four compatible energies to the one energy that's opposite. But that one energy happens to be LeBron James, which makes it a good synergy as far as for the starting lineup, right? So now you take that into consideration. Now you do the trade for Davis, who is a Pisces, for Luka Doncic, who also is a Pisces, right? So and the way I analyze that, it's neutral in synergy, right? And you could talk about talent, you could talk about skill, you could talk about positional synergy and everything else. So the way I see it, it's still a neutral because due to the exchange, you're like subtracting an energy that's equivalent to something that you're bringing in, right? And that's Doncic. So Doncic, a similar position, that forward, sort of similar to what LeBron brings. So they do lose some, in a sense, some positional synergy, if that makes sense. I know they got Mark Williams in, but all in all, if you take a step back, you look at some of their ins and outs, what they brought in and what they traded out, right? So, we can start off with Luka and Davis, neutral. And Mark Williams, of course, he's a Sagittarius. He got traded for Dalton Connect, who is an Aries cusp, also neutral, right? And then a couple weeks back before that, Finney Smith, who is a Taurus, and outgoing was D'Angelo Russell, who is a Pisces. I also consider that as neutral, though there's a slight improve in synergy for LeBron James having Finney Smith in the team now. So their synergy strength, okay, which is a good thing. They have Redick, who is a Cancer. They have LeBron James, who's a Capricorn. Finney Smith, that's a stronger synergy, who is a Taurus. So LeBron, you'll see that connection very, very strong. But now include Doncic in that mix, that forms that trifecta I like talking about. So that Doncic is that Pisces energy, who he's that mutable, adaptable type. You have LeBron, who's that leader energy, and you have the stability energy in Dorian Finney-Smith. Everyone else around them are all opposite energies, but compatible amongst themselves. And I'm talking about the Reeves, the Hachimura, the Vincent, the Milton, Wood, who hasn't even played, but Vanderbilt and so forth, Hayes and everyone else. So neutral still, but talent is talent. But then you can make an argument that Davis is pretty talented too. So that's kind of the way I see it.
I definitely think it's going to be offensively. I don't think they're going to struggle. I'll say that. My worry is defensively. I mean, let's, for all the praise Luka gets and that we put upon him, he's not the best defensive player. And I think the hope is, one of the reasons that's been thrown out there, or discussed, is that the Mavs were happy with this conditioning. We've all remember that video when they made to the finals and Luka celebrating with his dad. They're talking, and he has a beer. He's drinking a beer, and then Nico comes and he takes the beer away, and you can just look at Luka.
Or Finley, right?
Finley, no, it was Nico Williams. Nico Williams, or was it Finley that took the beer away?
I thought it was Finley.
Whoever took the beer away, I think you're right. It wasn't Finley. Like it was just, the man liked to drink. Hey,
yeah.
But I think if maybe they decide not to even deal with it, and they're like, we'll rather deal with AD and win now. That's what Nico Williams said. But I wonder if now that's going to drive Luka to even be like, of course. He's very competitive. We've seen him on the court, right? We know that he has that. He has that on the court. And I wonder if playing with LeBron or being with LeBron, some of that work ethic, or being more conditioned will rub off him. And that's the hope, right? But even then, I mean. And out of condition, whatever you want to call it, if he wasn't in condition last year, took the Mavs to the final, right? Obviously, Kyrie was involved, but let's be honest, Luka not carried the team, right? But Luka led that team, You're
right.
So that's why I don't know if the Lakers will make the finals this year, but I think they're gonna, once they start rolling into the playoffs, I think offensively they could be a powerhouse.
Yeah. I feel like they're already a powerhouse just with them two alone, Doncic and LeBron, right?
Right. It's yeah.
So I'm curious to see how they're going to utilize both of them at the same time. Dominant. So we'll see.
And I think that's where the relationship with JJ Redick is going to come in handy. Pisces Cancer, you already called it. That's a good connection. And obviously we know JJ Redick and LeBron, right? I mean, they had a podcast together. So I think them two, they're going to get in sync. So it'll be about the pieces around them and how much they can help as well. They're going to have to definitely pick up the slack.
Who, real quick, I want to add this. You know who the Lakers synergy alignment is very, very similar to, and I was analyzing both of these teams, is actually the Boston Celtics and
the current Boston Celtics.
The current Boston Celtics, yes, because back to that trifecta, with LeBron, Doncic, and Finney Smith, you compare that with Jaylen Brown, being the Scorpio, and then Tatum being the Pisces, and then Derek White being the Cancer, right? So you have that trifecta. So Lakers also have that trifecta, but not only that trifecta alone is also compatible to their head coach, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you look at Boston's role players outside of those three just mentioned, they're compatible amongst themselves, which works. The only edge I see that's a little bit different is the talent level. I guess you can make an argument, it's a little bit more widespread with the Boston Celtics. They have a little bit more talent. I mean, you're talking about Drew Holiday starting at the point, and then either Porzingis or Horford, playing at the forward position. Whereas on the Lakers side, you have a little bit more the young. I don't want to say inexperienced, but Mark Williams being a Sagittarius, and Austin Reeves. So that's kind of where you're comparing the experience level, and the talent level slightly goes to the Boston Celtics, but synergy alignment, it's very, very, very similar.
And of course, and this will be the last thing on Luka and Lakers. One of the conspiracy theories out there was that the NBA wanted Luka with Lakers so that we could have LA versus Boston once again in the finals, because obviously Boston is one of the stronger teams in the Eastern Conference. So make of that what you will. So but moving on to the Dallas Mavericks, Nico Williams, I just mentioned it. He said that this gives him a 3 to 4 window for a win now situation, right? That's why he sees it as a win now. And he says he said that with Kyrie Irving and AD, they can get it done. So break down the Dallas Mavericks currently now as they are. I know they also got rid of Quentin Grimes, which I didn't understand. I thought he was great for them. But also, before we break it down, like let me ask you, because I'm friends online with a couple Dallas Mavericks fans, and my gosh, just watching them tweet their all these feelings out, right?
Mm-hmm.
wow, like how would you have reacted? In that kind of scenario, because that's what I've been thinking about. Like, wow, how would I react? Like, because I mean, let's be honest, Luca, like we say, he's a generational player, right? Not even in his
Yes.
prime yet. Technically, not even in his prime yet.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, tough reaction. I mean, you just don't get rid of a player like that of his caliber as much as possible. You try to build and work around him, but you know, trying to understand the energies on both ends. If you're looking at Nico Harrison, who pretty much made the move, this is also another thing that's a little bit interesting. The two GMs involved in this trade, Rob Pelinka, who is a Capricorn, right, with a Cancer moon, double cardinal, right? And you
Yeah.
have Nico Harrison, who is also a Capricorn, but with the Libra moon, also double cardinal. And what I remember, what I say about these double cardinals is that they make natural leaders, and of course that's why they're GMs, right? They're the one making the calls, but they're unique in their own ways. Capricorn's a little bit more serious. They're result oriented, right? And they mean business. The unique thing about Nico Harrison with that Libra moon, think of a Libra as the only non-living, I guess, sign in the zodiac. It's a scale. What does that mean?
Mm,
Well, it has the capacity to make decisions without any emotional attachments, if that
mm,
makes sense. You see, because all it is a scale. It's trying to balance out the good and the bad. The neat thing also about Libras is that they can do that and actually thinks of all, because it's an intellect sign, it's an air sign, right? So they have a vision, right? So
yeah.
they think of all the good and the bad. Think of this the scale, right? The good and the bad, and they make a decision without any emotional attachment. And that's important because if it was us, Doncic, emotional attachment. You make
Mm,
sense? It's like,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you remove that emotional attachment, and in a sense, you make more of a I don't, I guess you can say a better decision because Libras tend to make really, really good decisions as part of their trait in general. Now, a lot may disagree because of the content behind it, the emotional attachment behind it, because it's Luka Doncic. But that's kind of where what I'm trying to say with his type. He means business, and he'll make
Yeah.
business without any emotional attachment. Whereas Rob
Mm,
Pelinka, being the Cancer moon, emotional attachment involved. So
mm,
that's kind of like the difference between the two. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's a
And
very interesting thing. And but now he has Anthony Davis, and I feel like this Mavericks team's a little bit more balanced in a sense.
mm,
So now, yeah, Kyrie Irving is now the lead guy, the Aries, right? The Aries with the Scorpio moon.
yeah.
He has a sidekick in Anthony Davis, being a Pisces with the Scorpio moon as well. They're not the best in synergy, but they have a good, strong emotional understanding in a reactive way. But not only that, Jason Kidd is an Aries also with the Scorpio moon. So those three players I mentioned all have that Scorpio moon. What does that mean? They're very, very passionate. They're very, very loyal, and they have a good common understanding amongst those three, which is the key players or
Yeah, yeah.
members on the team as well. So that's also another angle to look at this. So I
Wow.
feel like Mavericks is a strong team overall.
I definitely think they're a little bit better. I mean, I was looking at their depth chart. They did. I still not understand why Quentin Grimes. So maybe it was a money issue thing, but I thought he was great for them in his first half of the NBA season. Um, but I think they have a solid squad where they can make a run to a second round for sure. But I think Western Conference Finals. Once if Anthony Davis has to play, obviously, right? He hasn't played for them yet, but I think they have potential to make it. I think
I think a
I'm
lot of
interested to see the two-man game between Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis as well. And we've always said, Anthony Davis has said he feels he plays better when he has a center, when he's not
yeah.
playing center. And we've that's one thing Dallas has. They have two great centers. Um,
Another thing I want to throw at this is Jason Kidd, out of all, he's involved in everything, and
Yeah.
I don't buy that he didn't know about the whole Doncic thing. I don't buy that one bit. The thing, okay, so Jason Kidd is an Aries with the Scorpio moon, right? So thing with Scorpio moons, they love power, they love control as well, right? If you look at some of the Scorpios, this is on the football side, our own, for the Houston Texans,
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien, he's a Scorpio. But do you remember how he pretty much took over the GM role, the offensive coordinator, everything, you name it? We were just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
how did he do that? And
Yeah.
then he started
Okay.
making these trades. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel like Jason Kidd has his archetype, has his type of players that he likes. Grimes is a Taurus. It's an opposite energy of him. They butt heads. I don't think he necessarily, not that he didn't like Grimes, is just that I don't think he fit his archetype for what he wants. So in his vision, him being the moon of power, the Scorpio side wants something of his archetype. And oddly enough, this team has a lot of energies that actually fit Jason Kidd. Now,
Of course.
Martin, the guy they picked up, Martin is a Libra.
Yeah.
They swapped him. And then Christie, Aquarius, very strong connection with Jason Kidd. Najee Marshall, another Aquarius. Lively, Aquarius. Dinwiddie, Aries. Kessler Edwards, a Leo. And Clay Thompson, Irving himself, Gafford, all these players I'm mentioning all have a strong connection with Jason Kidd. That's a big plus, a very, very big plus for them.
We'll see how far they get. They're in 8th place right now, 27-25. I think they can make a run for that 6th seed, but we'll see. The next we're gonna get to. Now we're gonna try and get to them a little quicker. That was the major trade. That one, the one that shook everything away, shook everyone away too. There was a funny thing. There was this guy on Twitter. I was walking down 6th Street, and there was a guy with the Luka jersey in Dallas screaming. I didn't know what that meant at the time, but when I later learned what happened. And the guy was just screaming because he learned they traded Luka while he was on 6th Street getting drunk.
Oh my god!
and the guy that saw it, he was like, I didn't know what the hell was going on until he found out later that Luka got traded. Oh
Wow.
my gosh! So,
I was
but
listening to
yeah,
Utility Sports, and there was a gentleman in the chat that commented something along the lines, once once Luka retires, or what are the Lakers going to do once Luka retires? No, what are the Lakers going to do with LeBron James once Luka retires? Basically meaning that LeBron James longevity, he's probably going to still be playing
oh my
when
god,
Luka retires. For some reason, I just thought that was funny, So
that's hilarious. Yeah. Okay. Well, now we're on to another. This was a disgruntled player, right? He wanted to leave. Miami was suspending him. Jimmy Butler makes his way to the Golden State Warriors. I know you've tweeted and you've tweeted about all these trades. I know people have always gone to you as soon as trades happen. What has Zodiac said? So I know you've been tweeting about all these trades as best as you can. But this Butler one to the Warriors, I think it's gonna make them a better team. Obviously, I do think they're gonna miss out on some of that youth that Wiggins brought them. And we're definitely gonna get into Andrew Wiggins at Heat, which I know you have said is a sneaky great trade for them. But with this Butler with Golden State Warriors, what do you see? What can we expect? I mean, we know what Jimmy's gonna do, right? You get to the playoff, Jimmy shows up. It's time to go to work. You know what I'm saying? Like we know, so. And you put him with another dog like Draymond Green, and now Steph Curry's still doing Steph Curry things, maybe not to the level that he was during his peak, but come playoff time, this is a season Golden State Warrior led team. So, but how do you see it synergy wise?
There's something still missing about this team, and I was hoping that they would actually get an energy type of such, but they didn't. So if you look at the championship years of the Warriors, they've always had a well balance of that quote unquote trifecta. That's I feel it's a very, very strong thing to have for any team, right? Because it balances off your team, mutable energies, the fixed energies, and the cardinal energies, right? This season, Warriors are more dominant that mutable energy, which is a good thing. But what does that bring? It also brings inconsistency, right? Because why? You don't really have a stable or enough stable energies to kind of stabilize the team. When
Yeah.
Thompson was there, he's an Aquarius. He's a fixed energy. Several years back, who was that one guy off the bench that even won the Finals MVP? Iguodala, also an Aquarius, right? And then, so what I'm trying to say is that I feel like they needed an energy of that type. And Butler is a mutable energy. And oddly enough, some of the players that we've been mentioning are mutable energies for some reason. It's just a trait of the mutable signs this season, right?
Yeah.
So Butler is also a mutable energy of a Virgo mixed with a
Oh.
mutable energy of a Pisces, also another Pisces of Draymond Green, and also Curry. So you have three mutable energies, which is a great thing, right? Steve Kerr is a Libra. He's opposite of those big three, right? So I'm curious to see how that's going to pan out, because now you don't have any supporting energies for that group of trio I just mentioned. Now, the trio alone has great synergy. Yes, that's a great thing. But you have your leader in Steve Kerr. He's the one that's going to be calling the shots. How's the connection going to be when that happens? And top of that, you don't have a supporting energy, because Libra is a cardinal sign, right? Pisces and
Yeah.
Virgo is a mutable sign, but where is your fixed sign? Who's going to help you
Oh.
that stability? Where's going to be the Draymond Green? Where's going to be the Klay Thompsons? Where, of importance? Yes, they do have Kevon Looney, right? But what I'm trying to
He's
say is
not
the
that kind of player.
influence.
Yeah.
Yes, the influence. Because he's more of that limited role type of energy, right? But Butler is Butler. Once it's playoff time, it's it's
We've seen
time to
him
get serious.
we've seen him almost become a fixed dominant sign during playoffs, where he's like, I'm gonna
Well,
score, I'm gonna make this stop, I'm gonna lead my team to the finals. I mean, let's be honest.
you're right.
Jimmy led two teams. They're not as talented as some of the other teams. Players that were undrafted, late second rounders, not back to back finals, but two finals in 3 years, right? 2 and 3.
You're right.
Was that
You're
right?
right.
So he sometimes displays some of that fixed energy that you want, that you feel is missing from the Warriors. So maybe that's why they got him, for
Oh,
that.
well, the thing
You
is,
know,
if you look at those Miami Heat runs that he was in, he already had those fixed energies support and cardinal energies to support. That's what made him him, right? Because you're talking
got
about,
you.
Eric Spoelstra, a fixed energy, he was a Scorpio. You have the Duncan Robinson, a Taurus. He's a fixed energy. You have Bam Adebayo himself, who is a Cancer, who's a cardinal energy. So he's had that strong support already. He doesn't really have that in the Warriors roster. So I feel like they're gonna be a really really good team, but I feel like they're gonna be the ones that's gonna be that needs to try really 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 hard just to get them over the hump. If that makes sense, they need a little bit of
Yeah,
luck.
makes sense.
So I feel like there's going to be a little bit of inconsistency. There's going to be some growing pains initially, but they are adaptable and they're going to find a way to make it work. Yes, but they need someone that kind of holds them down a little bit, and that's what they lack. And well, we'll see how it pans out. I don't think they got Jimmy Butler, yes, but I don't think it's much of a big upgrade as far as for synergy goes. It's sort of the same.
Mm. Okay. Now Miami, Andrew Wiggins. You said this is a great trade for Miami energy wise. Why do you believe that?
Well, if you think about synergy, so Wiggins is a Pisces, right? So he is that mutable energy. But the reason why I feel is good because one, you're getting a player that's gonna play. I feel like there's no more. I feel like Butler was holding him back a little bit. Obviously,
Oh,
you
for
see, you can see
sure.
it as
Yeah, yeah.
numbers, and I didn't feel like it was a true sense of what Miami Heat were potentially. So I think he just sort of gave up, right? But now you have players that are committed and can play. But the thing is, Wiggins is actually going into a team that's a little bit more well balanced. They already have all the energies that makes them a good team, and that's in the past 5 years you've seen it. I mean, there's a reason
Mm.
why they're good. They have a strong, well-balanced team. Eric Spoelstra, Scorpio, connects well with Khalil Ware, Taurus, who's I feel like they're starting to use him more and more starting wise, right? Adebayo, Cancer, Wiggins, Pisces, Duncan Robinson, Taurus, Tyler Hero, Capricorn, Cus. All these energies are all compatible. They can even, it's, those 5 I mentioned is a 5-0 lineup, right? So it's a strong synergy wise. They have all the trifecta that they need to have a well balanced team. Now, the thing that's not a take step back, I guess there's some argument to it, is the talent. The talent takes a notch down, because Butler is Butler, even though he's of age. But you're bringing, a slightly younger player who's more committed, Wiggins, who's, So I feel like that makes them a little bit more of a complete team in that way. So that's a big plus. Not only that, Davion Mitchell, a great pickup from Toronto, Virgo. That's a player that connects well with Spoelstra. Spoelstra is in a great situation. If you're a head coach, I've always mentioned this, you would want a lot of players to kind of, one, follow you, understand you, and listen to you. You don't want anyone that's that too hard-headed energy that's always, conflicting with you for some reason or another. You want the yes guy, because especially you're the head coach, you need to lead this team into the playoffs, into a championship run. You need players to follow you. The Miami Heat have the right balance of all those energies.
Yeah, I think the Davion Mitchell pick was really good from him. I've been a fan of him since he was at Baylor. Yeah, I think it's gonna be really good for them.
And Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson too. He's a Virgo.
I was just saying that before we hit the record. I think Kyle Anderson just helps any team he's on, because you could just put him in anywhere. And it's crazy. You say he's a Virgo, that's a mutual sign. Just put him in anywhere. He knows what to do. So from Miami, we're gonna go a bit south, even more south, San Antonio. Well, I don't know parallel which one's south, but southernmost. But San Antonio, our alien gets help in the Fox. Yes. What this trade? I obviously know Darren Fox, a Houston guy. This was a good pickup for the San Antonio Spurs. I think it also takes the ball away from Darren Fox, because obviously you still got Chris Paul, and if you got Chris Paul on your team, come on, let's be honest, he's gonna be running point. So, but I think it'll be interesting to see. This is what I'm looking for, how he's gonna transition from there, right? Because he's always been a ball dominant guard, right? I mean, that's why they also got rid of they not got rid, I say, but they traded away Indiana Pacers. I'm blanking out on his name right now.
From Indiana Pacers, they traded away.
The Kings traded somebody to the Pacers. I'm blanking out on his name right now. Shooter.
Oh, Herder. Oh, you're talking about Halliburton.
Halliburton, yes, thank you. Yeah, Halliburton, right? Because they're both kind of playing the similar position. They decided to stay with Fox. And then what are the odds now that they also got rid of Fox? But so that's what I'm saying. I'm interested to see how he adapts to that role. Obviously he's still going to have the ball in his hands, but not as much. But synergy wise, what do you like from Fox going to the Spurs, and how is that synergy going to work?
Synergy wise, I feel like this is sort of like a reversal in a sense of the role that he's playing, right?
Right.
If you take him when he was with the Kings, right? They utilized that 4-to-1 ratio I love talking about, where Sabonis was that odd energy, right? And then Sabonis connects well with the head coach, right? With Doug Christie in this case, right? So now what I mean by reversal, you bring Fox to a team where he's in a similar scenario to what Sabonis was, right? That 4-1 ratio with the presumed lineup, Fox being the outlier that connects with the head coach. What does that mean? Well, you're getting another wild card scenario, in my opinion, right? So they have a good, strong synergy as far as for their core, which is a plus. You can kind of have a similarities of what the Memphis Grizzlies bring. The only thing that's different, Memphis Grizzlies bring, meaning that the Ja Morant being the Leo, being the opposite energy of a team full of earth and water energies that connects very, very well with their head coach, makes them a great synergy team. Spurs are almost there. The only difference is the head coach. So the way I analyze this team, there might be a little bit of conflict in that sense, because Johnson, he's a Sagittarius. They're more like a people. They're very free out thinkers. Which is opposite of Wembanyama, which is opposite of Sohan, which is opposite of Cassell, which is opposite of Vassell, all these energies. You see what I'm saying? But he does have a fairly strong connection with De'Aaron Fox. but I feel like it's not strong enough to make a big difference,
Yeah.
So I feel like they might have some clash there. I feel like I'm kind of feeling more towards the head coach. Um, I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a wild card scenario with the Spurs. They could be really, really good or really, really bad or just in between. But it's a wild card. I don't see much of a big improvement. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is talent alone, and they got De'Aaron Fox, and they get to keep Cassell, Castle, and Sohan. I mean, wow, that's amazing. So Spurs did a good job in keeping those young core there intact.
Definitely, talent is talent, as you like to say. And now the next two are going to be kind of some quick hitters. The Kings, they managed to boost up their offensive arsenal. They got Zach LaVine from the Bulls, another shooter. So still flashy. With his dunks, great player, great athlete too. Can score in bunches. So I think this is going to help the Kings. How do you see this, Zodiac?
Yes, in synergy, I actually feel like Kings actually won. As far as the trade deadline, I feel like they got a really, really good boost in synergy. And the way I see it is that Doug Christie, I always like to look at the coach because he's the one's gonna be calling the shot. He has vision, game planning. I feel like he's transitioning this team to energies that fit him. This is a big deal. Right. So you're going away from Fox, who is an energy opposite of Christie, to LaVine, who fits Doug Christie very, very well. That's a big plus. That's a great thing. So, and not only that, they got LaRavia from the Memphis Grizzlies, a Scorpio who connects well with Doug Christie also. So I feel like those two moves alone, it's huge. It's a very it's a big deal for them, and I think that's a big plus for them to have those two players in particular. Now, the thing that it's still kind of that lingering conflict, in my opinion. Now, using is that DeMar DeRozan, him being that Leo, doesn't really fit this team as a whole, because Leo, especially with his skill set, his experience, his talent, I mean, his credentials, everything, right? You kind of have to let him lead a team in a sense, that ISO ball mid range, but that takes up a lot of time. It takes up a lot of the shots away from everyone else actually having that wholesome connectivity. So there's a slight conflict there. I mean, DeRozan and LaVine have mentioned this, have already played with Chicago, and I did tweet at one point that it was a quote unquote blessing in disguise for DeRozan to move on from Chicago and kind of let LaVine run the show. But now they're back together again, and I feel like they're going to be back to kind of where they were when they left off. But we'll see. It's now they got a head coach that actually fits majority of the roster that connects with him. So that's a plus right there. So they do improve in synergy, in my opinion, but there is some minor conflict that might need to be worked on. That's all it is. Just needs to be worked on. As long as they understand that some pride might need to be put aside a little bit, and they can even use some staggered type scenarios with different lineups where they can benefit certain energies. But that's all to Doug Christie's. That's him being that Taurus Cancer energy. He's going to find a set rotation where he's going to stick to it, and then if it works, it works. We'll see how it pans out. But I feel like they did an improvement in synergy.
I wonder what you think about what the Milwaukee Bucks did in adding Kuzma, Kevin Porter Jr. I saw that trade just came through a couple hours ago. But the main one, Kyle Kuzma, getting rid of Chris Middleton, who helped them win a title, bringing Kyle Kuzma, who is not known for his defense, can score, so he definitely can score. But how does you see the Bucks and the moves they made?
So the Bucks, they made three. They got Kuzma. Okay, that swap between Middleton and Kuzma, they're both Leos, so I see that more as a neutral synergy, right? But in a way, it's sort of getting like a younger version of Middleton in an energy sense, right? Because you're replacing a Leo to Leo in almost similar position, 4 years younger, so you kind of benefit from that. They did get Porter Jr. Kevin Porter
Yes.
Jr. So he's a Taurus. Now he is opposite energy of Rivers, Giannis, Lopez. So I didn't really see any upgrade in synergy, but he is a very, very talented, skilled player. But I do like the move from Jericho Sims. He's a Libra that connects very, very well with Giannis. Kuzma. So they picked up some nice players, but I feel like overall from the teams years back and even when they won the championship, I feel like the Bucks are regressing in their ultra dynamic and synergy, because back then I've always felt, the Bucks were that scary team to play against, but now I feel like they're not as scary as they used to be. That makes sense. So, and part of that is because their synergy is not that great, even though they do have Lillard. But Lillard and Giannis don't have the best connection as far as for playing together in synergy. So that kind of takes a hit that way. So,
yeah, I almost would have them not traded for Dame Lillard. I mean, I know why they did it, right? It's a star player. He's available. You make the trade. Totally get it. But I think in doing that, they kind of messed up what they had as far as synergy-wise.
You're right.
I know talent-wise they went up, but synergy went down, But look, we just went through a whole bunch of trades. Do you have any parting words, Zodiac, on this long episode?
Hey, follow us on Twitter X, the Hoopstrology, and the Zodiac GM.
There you go. And follow me, Jesus_Acevedo Jr. And follow us at the Bayou Citian. And don't forget to subscribe. See ya.